Hello, hellish paratroopers. I have prepared some information for you to ponder. First, let's talk about the phenomenon of difficulty in PvE games in general. Players often say, it's a PvE game. What difficulty are you talking about? This is a very controversial statement in itself, and not only because some people like simpler games, while others prefer more complex ones. We can find examples of very popular games that are PvE and yet difficult. Dark Souls, for example. If you want examples of difficult team PvE, then I'm sure something like Left 4 Dead would suit you. Or something like Ready or Not. I'm sure there are many more games like this, and complexity is a relative concept in itself. Each person has their own level of complexity that they are comfortable with. And that is why I believe that it is extremely wrong to evaluate games in terms of whether they are complex or not. Even the developers themselves do not do this. Complexity, like many things in a game, depends on the experience that the developer wants to convey to the player. And despite the fact that, unfortunately, we have very few interviews with the developers of Helldivers 2, Arrowhead, about how they make their game. In one interview they did talk about how it happens and what experience they put into Helldivers 2. In one interview, they said that Arrowhead wanted to create a sense of danger in Helldivers 2. Players who play Helldivers should feel danger. This, by the way, forms the basis of a very clear gameplay cycle. You are in the game. You have a goal to traverse the map. Enemies appear. They create different situations in which you feel danger, but you overcome these situations. Emerge victorious. Complete the mission. Well done. You're awesome. What tools does Helldivers to use to give the player a sense of danger? First, I want to give an example that the developers themselves described in an interview. Terminals. I think you all understand what I'm talking about. There are many of them. They are scattered across the map, and the main missions are tied to them. When the player uses a terminal, the camera zooms in very close to it, preventing the Helldiver from seeing everything around them. This means that an enemy could sneak up and attack. This is an example of how Arrowhead creates a sense of danger. Moreover, if we think about where certain elements in the game come from, we will understand that they also create a sense of danger very well. For example, injuries. If your leg is injured, you move slower, and it is easier for your opponents to catch up with you. That's the feeling of danger, especially if your opponents are nearby. If you're bleeding, you're about to die, unless you find a stim or your ally injects you with one. That's why, by the way, there's an option to inject a stim into an ally. That's why I'm sure the developers talk so often about realism. Because in their logic, the feeling of danger is connected with the fact that a Helldiver is a well-trained, tough guy. But at the same time, he is an ordinary person who is very fragile and dies quite quickly. That's why they made reloading the way it is. That is, not like in Battlefield and Call of Duty, where when you reload with an incomplete magazine, your bullets are saved. In Helldivers 2, if you have any bullets left in the magazine, they are discarded along with the magazine when you reload. From here, there is also an armor penetration system that forces the player to kill different enemies with different weapons. Because when some kind of destroyer is coming at you, and all you have is, say, a regular Liberator weapon with light armor penetration, it's a very threatening, very dangerous situation. He's coming at you, and you're shooting past his vulnerable spot. And he's getting closer and closer, not caring about your shots. Can you feel how the whole game, everything in it, revolves around the experience that the developer wants to give the player, and how it works on paper? And in the game, in principle, it all works, but only up to a certain level of difficulty. On 10 on Cyberstan, for example. It doesn't work that way. Why? Because in order for the player to feel the danger, but be able to overcome it and emerge victorious, the player must not be killed quickly. That is, either there should be no one-hit kills, or if there are, the player should be warned about them, and the player should see that warning. Again. If we take the Nuvox as an example, it would seem that it warns about each of its attacks. But when there are too many opponents, there are so many attack warnings and so few safe places to hide from the attack that the cycle I mentioned. Feel yourself in danger, overcome it. Feel cool, breaks down. You are always in danger. so it loses its value, and it's very difficult to feel cool. Many have criticized Helldivers for its lack of teamwork, and they are right. But there is a nuance. The lack of teamwork starts with you. Yes, with every viewer watching this video. And with me. By the way, included. The problem with Helldivers 2 is that no matter what difficulty you play on, sooner or later you realize that, in principle, you can handle it all. Even on Cyberstand 10, the only question is how long it will take for your skills to reach that point. And the moment you start to feel comfortable in Helldivers 2, the game gets worse, because you start to stray from the group, from the other Helldivers. You collect builds that are very limited, which, yes, are effective, but effective in allowing you to deal with all enemies and all tasks. But in doing so, first of all, you cut yourself off from most of the content in the game. And secondly, believe me, when developers balance the game, they balance it for players. And when 2, 3, or 4 voxes arrive in a drop, 4 players can easily handle it. But 1 player, yes, with difficulty. Asterisk, does this mean that the problem is not with the game, but with us, the players, who simply do not want to play as a team, who have mastered the game, decided that they can do anything, and then it turns out that no, they can't. Well, no, I lied when I told you that the problem starts with you. That is, with the player, including me. Before complaining about players who are so bad and don't want to play as a team, let's ask ourselves, how does Helldivers to motivate us, the players, to play together? Well, apart from throwing hordes of enemies at us and by asking this question, we finally get to the main problem with Helldivers 2. The problem is that there is no motivation to play as a team. Because a large number of enemies is not a reason to go to your comrades and play with them as a team. A large number of enemies is a reason to start overcoming. Die beautifully. Take even more orbital strikes. Find the most effective weapons. Well, do anything except go and play together with the team. We have already determined that the main issues with gameplay rise when a player accustomed to difficulty begins playing alone. At that point, they encounter a multitude of enemies, with a frantic spawn rate. The primary difficulty stems from the fact that there are many enemies, and they are all different. For example, Vox the New Eye of Cyberspace is not difficult in itself. His attacks are very clear and easy to spot. Those that are not marked either occur rarely and are very easy to dodge, or are Gatling guns. In any case, it is clear that he will attack you. He glows like a Christmas tree and does not cause much damage, so you can outmaneuver him. Vox itself is easy to kill with any weapon and any grenade except impact grenades. Like the new cyborg, it either has no armor or light armor, and its melee attacks knock you down. But they're very easy to dodge. 2 not very difficult enemies, even if one of them is large. Isn't that right? The problems begin when you find yourself on the battlefield, because none of these enemies live apart from the others. And when you go all out to blow up Vox, and there are a couple of these naked esportsmen around. Anyway, while you're walking around trying to blow up Vox, Cyborg runs up to you and says, "Here, get down on your knees." And besides him, a bunch of smaller robots run up, and they all start shooting at you. And if there are a couple of Voxes nearby, so there you have it, the 10th difficulty level in Cyberstan. This is where the excellent game design idea of removing Vox from any weapon or grenade goes to hell. Well, not completely, but mostly. You won't be able to remove Vox that way, or it will be much more difficult and cost you your life. Is it possible to play comfortably in such conditions? Yes, absolutely. But will it be comfortable gameplay? No, I definitely wouldn't call it comfortable. Will it be fun? Well, if you like that sort of thing. I, for example, like fierce battles. But if you're not looking for fierce battles, just comfortable gameplay, then you don't need to go for a 10. There is an 8th difficulty level, and to be honest, it's much more enjoyable to play on Cyberstand. And now, finally, we will reveal the meaning of the phrase skillish. Each of us can control the experience we get from the game. If you want a fierce battle, go for the 10th difficulty level. But if you want to have fun and play comfortably without stressing out, which is a perfectly normal desire, then just go for the 8th difficulty level. You will still be making a good contribution to the Galactic War, and you'll still get a challenge. I played on difficulty level 8 today, and I liked it. It's the most comfortable gameplay when 8 voxes are all you'll see during a mission, rather than from a single drop. There are also far fewer bugs because there are far fewer enemy spawns, and most of the enemies are medium light, with far less armor. You have time to take cover and, standing at a crossroads, realize that you're not where you should be. And even if you get shot at a few times and slightly wounded, you'll have time to heal up, and everything will be fine. You'll feel like a powerful hellish paratrooper. So, if you're uncomfortable on the 10th difficulty level, don't torture yourself. Play with pleasure on a lower difficulty level. I usually play on difficulty 10, but on Cyberstan, I felt wild irritation every second on level 10, and all the fun of the game turned into tension. I hope those who watched until the end learned something useful for themselves. Remember, soldier, Super Earth doesn't need dead heroes on the battlefield. It needs living legends who carry the flame of freedom. Choose your difficulty wisely. Your contribution to the Galactic War is invaluable, as long as you hold a rifle in your hands. See you on the front lines for democracy.
20 seconds. Budget depleted. Extraction complete. Pelican 1.